Predibase is a developer platform that makes it easy for any user to be able to fine-tune and serve a fine-tuned large language model. You can access our platform programmatically through our Python SDK or via REST, but today I'm going to show you how to do our quick start, which is fine-tuning Llama 2 7 billion directly through the UI. Now, to get started, let me show you a dataset that I've connected from Snowflake, which is called the Consumer Complaints Dataset. This dataset is essentially a collection of different complaints that the FCC has collected from American consumers about financial services institutions. And what we want to do is add a few different things. The first is classify what's the product that a user is complaining about, debt collection, credit, bank account, or other, and what issue they're encountering, whether it's about fees, improper use, delinquency, or something else. And then just for fun, we actually had GPT-4 write up sample email responses back towards these customers. And what I want to see is if I can fine-tune a much smaller LLM, something like Llama 2 7 billion, to be able to do all of these tasks at once. Identify what's the product the consumer is complaining about, the issue, as well as write up a sample template email response based on this data set. Now, the first thing someone does inside of Predibase is they start to prompt any of our open source LLMs. We have a number deployed as serverless solutions that anyone can start to play around with. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and prompt Llama 2 7 billion. To save myself some typing, I've already copied a prompt template that I have, where I'm going to instruct the LLM that they're a support agent responding using JSON for a public financial company, and to return the product, issue, and a sample company response. And then I've passed in a complaint, which is about a user who's been receiving multiple calls a day, recording a pre-recorded message regarding a debt. Now you can see that right out of the box, Llama 2 7 billion doesn't do that well on this particular task. It identifies it's supposed to classify the product, the issue, and write an email back, and then it just starts to repeat itself over and over. If you've played around with an open source LLM, this behavior is probably pretty familiar. The really cool thing I want to show you inside of Predibase is that I can actually now use a fine-tuned version of this model, which I'll call my automated customer support demo, and simply attach this fine-tuned model adapter on top of the same base model deployment. So what I'm going to do is copy and paste the same prompt that I had earlier, the exact same one, and click Run, and see if this fine-tuned model version does any better. Now, one of the really cool things about this is that I didn't have to redeploy a fine-tuned model. I simply attached the same adapter on top of my existing model deployment, so there was no cold start time. And right out of the box, we can see that the model does significantly better. It correctly identifies that the product is about debt collection, the issue is about communication tactics, and this email seems a lot better than the repetitive text that the base model was generating. The really interesting thing about Predibase is that all the model versions that I've fine-tuned, whether it's for domain adaptation, news article summarization, toxic comment classification, all can be served on top of this single base model deployment without me having to redeploy each fine-tuned LLM. So let me show you how you actually develop these adapters inside of Predibase. In Predibase, we have this concept called model repositories, which are essentially just a collection of model versions or adapters that users generate in order to be able to solve a particular task. You have cool features like being able to see the model lineage, and being able to actually add in a new model version is really easy. All you'll do is create a new model, and you can fine-tune an LLM. You can see that I just connected to a dataset, in this case to my Snowflake Consumer Complaints dataset, choose which LLM I want to be able to fine-tune, or pass in a Hugging Face path to my own, and then provide a prompt template. The prompt template is just the series of instructions that I gave towards the model initially. We pre-fill in a training template that we think represents the best practices of how you should be able to go ahead and train this job. And you can actually click train immediately. The nice thing is if you're a more advanced user and you do want to customize any of our training parameters, you can do so declaratively. You can change our batch size, learning rates, our lower rank, and many other parameters directly through this configuration. But for the model demo that I just showed you, it was using our default training template out of the box. Once you create a new model version, it'll be made available directly inside of the model repository, and you can click inside one to go ahead and see all of its different metrics, as well as how long it took to train. Once you're happy with an individual model, you can start to prompt it immediately through the UI you saw previously, and if this model works for your use cases, then this model is already deployed and accessible via REST, so you can plug it into any downstream application. So that's the Predibase platform, how you can connect data, prompt any open source LLM, and then fine-tune and prompt your fine-tuned LLM easily. Hope to see you try out the product soon.